Good day, fam, and welcome back to another episode of the Heywood Courier. It's just me, Rico, and I'm gonna be your host for today. Now, before I get started with today's episode, I would like to ask you guys a really quick and small favor. Can you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below to support my channel for me really quick, please? All right, perfect. Now, today we are going to be talking about cargo van transmission issues and business credit. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So the reason that I actually want to talk to you all about this topic or this subject is because this is what I'm going through in real time, like right now. Currently, my van is at the Ford dealership getting the transmission rebuilt, and it should be there for about a week and a half. So let me tell you guys how I actually got to this point. All right. Now, I bought my cargo van about 6-7 months ago. When I purchased it, it already had 80,000 miles on it. And currently it has 107,000 miles on there. So I've driven it for about 27,000 miles. Now, I feel like it's extremely important for me to keep up with all of the maintenance for my vehicle, simply because that is my main source of money. That is my main income. So I've done everything from making sure that I take it to get the 100,000 mile checkup. I take it to get the oil change on a monthly basis. I just did a video for you guys where I had to get a $1,500 brake job. I got snow tires put on there and everything like that. So my van is very important to me because it is my bread and butter. And with those 27,000 miles, I have been able to make a lot of money. So when this transmission issue came up, I guess you guys probably already know how I felt. But what happened is I took my brakes to my mechanic to get the brakes done. Once I got my car back, once I got the van back, everything seemed to be working perfectly. It was stopping great. There were no squeaking or anything like that. About a week after I got my brakes fixed, what I realized is that when I would shift, whether it's from park to drive, from reverse to drive, whenever I would switch into drive, it started giving me like a jerk motion. So at first I wasn't too concerned about it because I was like, okay, it's never happened before. Maybe, it was just something, I didn't know exactly what, but I didn't think it was a huge issue. But then what happened is, for a few days, I realized that it kept jerking, and not jerking when I'm driving or anything like that, but just this jerk when I would put it into drive. And so since I began to really pay attention to that, I then started to realize as well, like as I'm going uphill, and I'm pushing on the gas, there's not that much power going into my RPM. So it's kind of like a little bit slower for me to go up a hill. So I'm a Google type of guy. So I Googled the issue, what could have been wrong. But on the other hand as well, I had called my mechanic and I let him know, hey, I know you guys just did my brakes. A week after the brakes got done, my car started jerking when I would put it into drive. Can you guys just take a look at it? They said yeah. So I had an appointment to go and see them in a few days. But in the meantime, I wanted to Google the issue and see if there may be another issue that I didn't know about. So after Googling and finding out the issue, it automatically said that I may be low on transmission fluid and things like that, and I may just need to get a transmission flush. So I called Ford and I got a quote on a transmission flush, and there was like about $500. So I'm like, okay, cool. I could do this. But what I also know is that 9 times out of 10, the dealership usually charges you a higher price than your average shop would charge. So I called around to a few different transmission shops, and I actually went into one shop and I spoke to one guy, and I'm like, hey, how does it work for me to be able to get like a transmission flush? You know, how I would I worked that out. And the guy, he was like, man, I've been doing this for 30 years and I do not recommend you getting a transmission flush if there's a transmission issue, especially with the Transit, because he says, I've seen it to kind of like give more transmission issues from flushing it and things like that. So I'm just like, oh man. So right now I'm chilling because I know I got to take it back to my mechanic to get looked at. So took it to my mechanic. I kept it there for the day, and I come back in and she gave me the bad news. She was like, it looks like there's something wrong with your transmission, and we do not touch the transmission at all. So we recommend you going ahead and taking it to Ford and let them look at it, and then, you know, see what they tell you that your options are at that point. So right now I'm already like, oh man. And you know, in my head, I'm already thinking the worst. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? I just started my business. What am I gonna do? So all kind of things are running through my mind, and that's not the type of person I am. I'm a person of more like, okay, this happened. What do we need to do to get it done? What do we need to do to get it fixed? But in this situation, I just needed 24 hours to really get my mind right and try to figure out the best option to go with. So I set an appointment to take my van into Ford. Ford looked at it and he's like, yeah, man, there's definitely something wrong with the transmission. And these are your options. The first option is to get your transmission rebuilt. It will be $5,700, and that's including tax to get it rebuilt. Then he was like, but I do have to let you know that with this model that we do have issues with like the control arms being soldered onto wherever it's located. And he was like, we got to remove the control arms to get to your transmission. So if we have to cut off the control arms, then that's going to be an extra $1,600 that I'll have to pay for my transmission. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they gonna make me pay that extra $1,600. So this is what I'm thinking in my mind, simply because, you know, I'm being a pessimist, you know, at this time, and just like, you know, not being the regular person I really am. So once I took it to Ford, I'm like, okay, so I know what's wrong. Let me take it to a few transmission places, or call around a few transmission places and get like a few quotes and things like that to see how the numbers are looking. Oh, mind you, Ford charges me $5,700 to get it rebuilt. If I wanted to get a brand new transmission, it would have costed me $9,200. All right, so those are my two options, 57 or 92. Went around to a few transmission places, and surprisingly, I was quoted $7,000 plus at the other transmission places that I went to get it taken care of. So I'm like, well, it looks like I'm going to be going with Ford, but I was like, you know what? Let me call Ford and see if they include the labor in this quote that they gave me, you know, just in case, you know, they're charging me the 50, 57 or whatever, and that doesn't include labor, and it would have still came up to 7 or whatever with labor. But I called them and they said, nope, it's 57 all the way around. So I was like, okay, set me an appointment. And so we set the appointment. Now, while I was waiting for the appointment, certain things was like running through my mind. The first thing is like, man, I can't believe that Ford would try to sell me this van knowing that, man, that the transmission was going bad. And, I'm sitting here just trying to place blame and things like that. And that may actually be the situation, but I definitely have to take into account that there are times where I'm carrying items in my van that's upwards of 2,000 pounds, and I live in a hilly area. In Pittsburgh, there are lots of hills, lots of ups and downs and things like that. And a lot of that can put stress and pressure on the transmission. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so I know what I have to do better when dealing with like picking up orders and picking up deliveries, especially if they're going to be on the weightier side, like on the heavier side, But also with that being said, I'm also telling myself, okay, let me get the transmission fixed now. Let me get it rebuilt now, so at least I know I ain't gonna have no other issues to worry about, at least not for the forthcoming year and moving on, So I told myself that, I was just going to make sure that I'm going to be better going up and down hills. Whenever I'm toting heavy cargo, I'll make sure that I push that little button on there where it's saying I'm towing things. So just doing things to kind of like minimize the issue or or having so much weight on my transmission. Now, paying for the transmission, and I'm gonna tell you guys how I paid for the transmission, and then we're going to segue right into business credit. Okay, so I did not have the cash saved up from when I started my business to be able to have the cash on hand to pay for the transmission. Now, certain people would say, hey man, you should have this and this and this amount of money saved up before you jump into business and all of that. But all of those things are circumstantial. A lot of us, we go into business and we don't have $10, $15, $20,000 just sitting there. We're taking a chance and we're taking a risk on ourselves, and some of us just jump into it. Now, mind you, I've been intentional and I've been pretty smart about certain things or how I handle certain things. But no, I did not have that much money just sitting around to be able to pay it all in cash. But what I did have is business credit. All right. Let me tell you guys, whenever you're first starting your business, LLC or whatever, please understand the importance of your personal credit as well as your business credit. You want to make sure that you have decent personal credit so that when you establish your business and when you open up a business account, you can immediately go ahead and apply for a business credit card. It may not be the highest limit or whatever, but at least it's showing that, hey man, I do have this money just in case a situation happens or something bad happens or something like that. A lot of the times I would use it to pay for gas and then just pay it off and just have it sitting there specifically for situations like this. So very, very important, guys. While you're forming your LLC and doing all of that, please look into fixing and building your credit and getting actual business credit so that you'll be able to get a write-off, because I got to pay for this, but it'll definitely be written off with taxes. Okay? So I was able to pay that with my business credit. And right now I have 0% interest on that, and that'll be probably for the next 6 months. So my goal would be to pay it all off in the next 6 months before interest rates start to accrue on that. But that is how I was able to pay to get my transmission rebuilt. And yes, I am going to be paying the $5,700 to get it rebuilt instead of paying the $9,000+ to get a brand new transmission, because I just can't afford that right now. But just went and rented a cargo van from Enterprise, and it's going to be another $700 I'm going to have to pay to be able to rent this van for the week, while I'm hoping that they're working on my van. I'm really hoping that I can get my van back by next week Wednesday. He told me a week and a half, but if we can get it back by next week Wednesday, which is the time that I'm going to have this rental van, that's going to be perfect. But yeah, man, I wanted to get on this video and talk to you guys real quick in real time about what I'm going through, and also the importance of having business credit in the clutch so you can be able to utilize it when situations out of the blue occur. All right. I hope you guys got a little something out of this video. It's just me, Rico, from the Heywood Courier. Please don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button down below to support me and my progress. And until the next time, fam, peace.